Hello, the objective of this video is to learn how to identify the x and y intercepts of a function given the equation. Now you remember the x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis on the graph. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and it is a point, so it is a coordinate. It's going to have an x and a y value at those points. Now, the standard form of equations, we're going to come across this because it's easier to find the x and y intercepts when you've got the standard form of equations. Standard form has some number times x plus some number times y equals some number. I wrote a, b, and c in here because they could be any number. They don't have to be the same number. They could be different. So I could have something like 2x plus 3y equals 97. I could have negative 2x minus 5y equals negative 35. They could be any number as long as the x and y are on the same side of the equal sign. And yes, this has got minus, although this says plus, but remember, plus the negative is the same thing as subtracting the positive. So these are all in standard form. Now, when you're asked to find the y-intercept and you're given the equation, you have to remember that on the y-axis, all of the x values are 0. So if you plug in 0 for x, you'll find out where that line crosses, what value of y the line crosses the y-intercept at, the y-axis at. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to plug in 0 for x. So this becomes 3 times 0 plus 2y equals negative 6. Well, 3 times 0 is 0. And 0 added to anything is the additive identity. It stays as 2y minus 6. The 0 just drops out. So then we would divide by 2 to solve from there, and you get y equals negative 3. Now, technically, you could just write y-intercept, and I'm going to abbreviate with int for intercept. You could write y-intercept equals negative 3, one number representing the y-intercept. However, it is actually a coordinate pair. They accept one number as an answer because it's understood that the x value is going to be 0. So technically it is this coordinate, but they will take the one number value. Just make sure you write as y-intercept equals, not just plain y equals. Because y equals negative 3 is a horizontal line. It's not a point, it's a line. So remember, these intercepts are points. So to find the x-intercept, all of the points on the x-axis have a y value of 0. So we plug in 0 for y, and you get 3x plus 2 times 0 equals negative 6. Again, this becomes 0, so anything plus 0 is itself. That's that additive identity. And we're going to divide both by 3 to solve from there, and you get x is equal to, or the x-intercept is equal to negative 2, which is technically the point negative 2 for x and 0 for y. Now there is an easy way to solve when you have the equation in standard form. There's an easier way to solve for the x and y intercepts. Here you want to find the y-intercept. Cover up the x. Cover up the term that's got the x and solve. All we had to do was divide by 2 from there. We got the negative 3. Over here, when we wanted to solve for the x-intercept, you cover up the y. If you cover up the term that has the letter of the opposite axis, you can solve for the intercept you want. So covering up y, I get 3x equals negative 6. I solve from there. Helpful way of doing that. Let's take a look at some examples. Y-intercept. I want to cover up the x. I get 5y equals 20, so I divide both sides by 5. I get y is equal to the y-intercept, or as the y-intercept is going to be equal to 4. Now if I want to find the x-intercept, I cover up the y, and that gives me 2x is equal to 20. Divide both sides by 2, and that gives me the x-intercept is equal to 10. So right there, I got the x and y-intercept simply by doing a little bit of dividing. And that's it. Y-intercept, x-intercept. Same thing here. Cover up x, you gotta divide by 5, you get y is equal to 6. So that's the y-intercept. Remember, you gotta include that intercept part there. The y-intercept is equal to 6. Here, cover up the y to find the x-intercept. You get negative 3x is equal to 30. Divide by negative 3, and you get x-intercept is equal to negative 10. We're going to take that a step further in the next video, where we're going to take those points, plot them on the graph, and draw the line from there. But before we do that, we have to realize we're not always going to get these equations in standard form. And sometimes we may have to do some work to find out. That's why it's important to remember that what you're doing when you do that cover up part there is plugging in a 0 for the opposite variable. If I'm looking for the y-intercept, I plug in 0 for x. I get 2y is equal to, well, that disappears, I get 8. Divide by 2, I get y-intercept is equal to 4. To get the x-intercept, I plug in 0 for y. Now here's where the problem comes in. When I plug in 0 for y, yes, this disappears, but since there's nothing else on that side of the equal sign, I have to write that as 0 equals 4x plus 8. I have to have the 0 there, because although it does become 0, it doesn't really disappear. There still has to be that side of the equal sign. So then I have to solve by subtracting 8 from both sides. I get negative 8 is equal to 4x. Divide both sides by 4, and I get negative 2 is equal to the x-intercept. So here's my x-intercept, here's my y. Alright, this one, I plug in 0 for x, and I can cover up here. I get 12 is equal to negative 3y. Divide by negative 3, and I get negative 4 is equal to y. So that's my y-intercept. Again, when I plug in 0 for y at this point, I'm going to have to write this as negative 6x plus 12 is equal to 0. It doesn't, you can't get rid of a whole side equal sign. It's going to become equal to 0. Minus 12, I get negative 6x is equal to negative 12. Divide by negative 6, I get x-intercept equal to negative divided by negative is a positive, so I get a positive 2. So the x-intercept is positive 2, the y-intercept is negative 4. Some more examples. We're going to go through these rather quickly. This one's in standard form. Cover this up, divide by 7, I get y equals 8. So my y-intercept is equal to 8. Cover this up, I'm going to divide by 4. 56 divided by negative 4 is going to give me negative 14. So my x-intercept is negative 14. X-intercept, y-intercept. Here, I cover up x to find the y-intercept. I get negative y equals 3. I have to divide by negative 1. So when I do that, I'm going to get negative 3 is equal to the y-intercept. Cover up y. I get x equals 3. So I get 3 is equal to the x-intercept. There's your two answers there. Number 7. Again, it's in the standard form. So I cover up the x. I divide by 2. I get y equals 0. If I cover up the y, I get x equals 0. So my y-intercept and my x-intercept are both 0. This one, I cover up x, I get y equals -8. So my y-intercept is equal to -8. Cover up the y, I get x-intercept is equal to -8. Pretty nice when it works out that way. Remember, the only way to learn math is to do math. So take a moment, pause the video, try these 4, and we'll go over them in a moment. Welcome back. Covering up the x, divide by 7, your y-intercept is equal to -3. Covering up the y, you're going to divide by 3, which is going to give you x-intercept of -7. Over here, number 2, when we cover up the x, you get y is equal to -8. So the y-intercept is equal to -8. When you cover up the y, you end up getting a 0 on this side, so you get x minus 8 equals 0, which means you have to add 8 to both sides, and you get x is equal to 8. So the x-intercept is equal to +8. Over here, covering up the x, you get 2y equals -18. So when you divide by 2, you're going to end up getting y equals, or the y-intercept is equal to -9. When you cover up the y, you end up getting 6x minus 18 is equal to 0. So you have to add 18 to both sides, which is going to give you 6x equals 18. Then divide by 6, and you're going to get the x-intercept of 3, +3. Here, you have to do the distributive property first to get rid of the set of parentheses. Or you could plug in 0, either way. If you plug in 0 for y, you get 2 times 0 plus 1, which gives you 2 times 1, which is 2. So you get 2 is equal to 3x. Divide by 3, your x-intercept is equal to 2/3. If you plug in 0 for x, you end up getting 2 times y plus 1 is equal to 0. Distributive property to get rid of that, or you could divide by 2 to get rid of the whole 2 there. You get y plus 1 is equal to 0. Subtract 1, you get y is equal to -1. So your y-intercept is -1. Y-intercept of -1, x-intercept of 2/3. Again, you could have done the distributive property here, which would have given you 2y plus 2 equals 0. Subtract 2 from both sides, you get 2y is equal to -2. Then divide by 2. And you would have had y equals -1 either way. All right. See you in class.